All right. I'm getting jittery. Last time we spoke about the You're going to kill me. I swear I'm going to have like 5 takes.
No, you're totally fine.
All right. Are you recording?
No.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Kandid Koffee. Today, I have Arthur Chivichyan again for part 2 episode. He's going to be talking about Elite Institute. Is that enough? No, hold on. That's not good. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Kandid Koffee. I have Arthur Chivichyan here today with me for part 2 of his episode. Last time we were talking about the dojo and his father's accomplishments. This time we have a special look in his new project, his new endeavor called Elite Institute. Thank you so much for being here, Arthur.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you for having me this time in your home. It's beautiful. I'm happy to be here.
Appreciate it.
This last year went by so fast. It was last year, July, that we were talking about your dojo, your dad's dojo, and your accomplishments, what you've been up to, your career as a professor at USC. That's, I'm sure, blossomed since then, even though it's only been a year. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how important it was for you and what fueled this idea of opening up an institute for young adults and children. I
thought about this institute. I worked on it for years and years. A lot of it came based off of the fact that I wasn't happy with the way our new generation was being raised. I wasn't happy with how our society and in our communities, and not just our media community, just everyone throughout, were with each other as a cumulative group, were the society in itself. I wasn't really excited about the future in a sense. Mm-hmm. I also know that our education system needs a reform, and I can't personally change the whole education system, but I know I have the capability of maybe starting something of my own, mm-hmm. where I'm more hands-on, and something that I could do in terms of education that could help our youth and young adults grow into better men and women and become better people for the communities.
Now that public schools are closed, they have been closed, a lot of people like yourself, whether it's daycares, summer camps, other types of activities for children, they're coming up with innovative new ways to educate children and to keep them busy and to keep them, keep the gears turning for them. And your institute couldn't have come at a better time, given, first of all, how young you are, how experienced you are, and the fact that you have this huge upbringing in a sense of like, not just your dad raising you as a parent, but as also a mentor and a sensei, and then you becoming a professor, and you're like, wow, I really love teaching. Mm-hmm. I really love influencing young people. And granted, those students are in college already, and they're more mature, and they kind of know what they're going to do with their life. But I feel like you were like, okay, well, if I can apply your knowledge and expertise to a younger audience, it would really shape them a lot more than just a regular school and taking piano or taking karate or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's kind of how I was raised. So I was raised in a more traditional way. I was raised in a more disciplinarian way. Mm-hmm. So discipline for me is very important. I've also seen it firsthand just how important it is for youth to grow up with certain disciplines. Again, I was fortunate enough to do MMA and train in judo and other disciplinarian sports and learn principles of Bushido and principles of judo and jiu-jitsu and mm-hmm. why it's so important. And all along me growing up, I knew I was going to be a good teacher. Mm-hmm. Again, I was taught by one of the best teachers in the world in the sports field by my dad. But I've been lucky to have good mentors and good coaches and good people whom I've looked up to growing up. And I knew that one of my passions was to teach people and to help people, mm-hmm. And eventually became one of my purpose to be able to help people grow and individually become more successful. And it's not only monetarily, no, it's about just being a better human. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, like, with the way the society is going right now, I think it was the best time, and I think you hit it on the dot. I think it's the time for me to be able to open something like this and run it, which we already are. Mm-hmm. And you know, throughout the years that I've pretty much grown up and educated, you know, myself, which I'm a big, you know, I'll be probably the biggest advocate of that. Personal development, self-help. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, I saw a quote the other day. It said, "You always want to water the tree," and it was a tree with the brain. And I'm big on that. I read a lot of books. I challenge myself, not only physically but mentally. And I'm bringing that approach to my institute to be able to help kids and young adults and even adults who maybe find themselves struggling in life with their life's purpose and all that kind of stuff. So.
For someone who has absolutely no idea, just kind of give an overview of what type of teaching or lessons or activities or things that you're going to do with your students at Elite Institute, so that people would get a really good idea, because they'll maybe think it was like a military school or a camp where you're going to make them do push-ups or something. You know?
No, you know, it's the programs have a certain baseline of what we're going to follow. That's off my research and other very profound professors and researchers and doctors and all kinds of people that I've done accumulative research on, and I've pretty much started my own program. I'm definitely going to instill my own mindset without brainwashing. You know, that's what people think always, and when they hear it, they're like, "Oh, are you going to brainwash these kids?"
No.
Absolutely not. But
yeah, that's so negative.
Yeah, no. But you know, there's like in my opinion, and that's why when we first talked about it, I said it could be controversial. There's good brainwashing and bad brainwashing, in a sense. But I'm not trying to
maybe
make
conditioning.
Yes. Yeah, so like kind of mental conditioning, mental programming. So they have certain things that they're going to do when they first come into the program. A lot of it will be physical based at first, and the other half of it would be mental. They're going to get physical and mental training in different aspects of their, you know, whatever they're doing. They're going to get a lot of self-assessments, a lot of personality tests. They're going to be talking with me one-on-one quite a bit, along with our other coaches, and every single one of our coaches are specialized in a certain area. So they're going to really identify their strengths and weaknesses as youth and as young adults, and they're going to know exactly the path that they want to kind of lead to and head to. But the difference with us is that we're not going to be out here sensitivity training. You know, we're not going to be the sensitive type. If something is going wrong, we're going to be very we're going to voice our opinions and be straightforward with them. They will not be getting participation awards. Okay, so just because they're at school, they're not going to be getting certificates and all this kind of stuff. I was never raised that way, and I don't think any kid should be raised that way, in my opinion. And whether they're a boy or girl, and it is a co-ed program, they're going to be tough. They're going to be gritty, and they're going to be very tough individuals in a sense, and we're going to make sure they are. You know, a lot of the kids that I'm coming in, everyone's going to be good in something and not good in something. So we're not going to leave the weaknesses alone. We're going to keep on working on their strengths, but we're going to work on their weaknesses. I have great kids, very talented kids who are just very socially kind of awkward. And a lot of the first few months we'll be working on just getting them to collaborate and work with different kids and to
learn how to be more confident and make eye contact.
Absolutely.
And I'm not trying to cut you off, but when you're telling me these things, I'm nodding, because it breaks my heart when I see even someone who should know better, when they don't give a firm handshake, when they don't look you in the eye, when they're talking to you and have this assertiveness and confidence of what they're saying. You know, having kids myself, I try to be very fair and encourage them, award them when they're doing something great. They need that positive reinforcement, of course. But with some of the younger kids that I'm seeing, or parents that I'm seeing, how they're talking to their kids, it's like you can't tiptoe around their feelings all the time. Sometimes they're gonna fail. Sometimes they're not gonna do it as good of a job as they would have liked, and they're already like sensitive about it, but you can just explain to them like, hey, it wasn't that great right now, let's try again, or whatever. Or like they go to some sort of extracurricular activity and it's not going as well. You can't give a gold star and a medal every time to every kid. Not everybody can be in first place. And like, it kind of like gets the juices going when I'm talking about stuff like this, but I just want kids to grow up with a little bit more tough skin. Like, you know.
Some grit.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, and some grit, exactly, because I don't want them to just give up if once or twice. That feeling of failure, it's not the end of the world. Like, you have to keep trying, and if you have a teacher that's kind of a little bit tougher, but also really gives you that strength and encouragement, I think that's what they need more than just like, let's pat everybody on the back.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and that's something that I've been always, good at. As a teacher, I believe in discipline, and I believe to be disciplinarian. But I've always been the type that where kids and young adults are willing to reach out to talk to, and I'm always open to talk to them back. So I know the best of both worlds. I could be that kind of military style kind of drill sergeant, but I could also be more of an empath and kind of put myself in their shoes and see what they're feeling and help them with that. And with the coaches that we have at the Institute right now, every single person that I've worked with or hired, I've always kind of made sure that they have that empathy and that skill, the emotional intelligence to to understand that, okay, some kids, they're going to be coming from different backgrounds. They're going to have different parents. Some of them might not have parents. And whatever it is, they have to understand who they are and what they are first. So that's why the first 6 to 8 weeks when we bring them in, we put them through a lot of mental and physical challenges, because in order to be mentally strong, you need to be able to do certain physical things. In order to be physically strong,
vice versa.
Yes.
Right, of course.
So like, you mentioned, the military and stuff. There are military aspects in there. We do have coaches who are in the military. I have background contracting in the military, so I've gotten the best of everything that I've learned, and
to incorporate it all together.
Yes,
exactly.
Without going into too many details, because we do have military affiliation, so there's NDAs and stuff. So I can't go out and say exactly what we do.
Yes.
But parents who bring their kids in, I just always tell them, the first thing I tell them is it's a guarantee that your kid is going to be the best version of themselves every age as they progress. And because not only will be able to kind of not punish, but tell them when they're right or wrong, but we also guide them throughout the process. We're very hands-on, even during these times. I'm a firm believer of being hands-on. Now, that doesn't mean we have to be physically together every time, but seeing face-to-face and talking face-to-face and doing a lot of what we do on a daily basis is what is making kids do some of the things and accomplish some of the things that they already are. Because I have 16-year-olds who are starting their own businesses. I have 17-year-olds getting scholarships in sports and in different athletics, basketball, fighting, wrestling, soccer, tennis. I have artists who are so talented in certain figures, but they need help with others, and no one's perfect, and I understand that.
But you have to feed. You have to feed it. You have to nourish it. You have to nurture it.
Yep.
Any kind of small talent that they do have, or you see potential in something, and that's where the physical helps the mental, and the mental helps the physical. Yeah,
absolutely. And the best example of it was, my brother. My brother was a leading cause of why I did this, because he's ultra successful right now. I'm not saying because just of me. He has the craziest work ethic. He's a robot. But a lot of what he's done and learned is from what we've kind of worked on together. The discipline, the organized tasks, the daily routines, how to take care of his mind and his body. So I saw him progress through, after 12, 13 years old, we found what he was really, really good at when he was a young kid. And we figured, okay, let's focus on that and get everything else better. So we focused on his basketball, and at first in high school, he struggled mentally. He had some good days and bad days, but he's the toughest person right now, because not only because of the experiences he's had, but because he's had us behind him, kind of working with him, helping with him, hands-on and via just communicating with one another. And he's one of the biggest reasons why I started, is because I went through that experience with him, and then after him, I've had over 100 to 150 kids right now that we're working with on a daily basis. So it's obviously we're learning. It's a learning process. It's a learning and development curve that we go through. Everything we do is very modernized to the education system, that how it should be in high school and elementary and stuff. And again, when we talk to parents, we tell them, your kid is going to learn a lot of things that they won't in school, in regular school. And I'm a big, firm believer in that. It could be finances, it could be social skills, life skills, hard and soft skills. And they'll be learning, practicalities that will apply, they can learn today and apply tomorrow. So I don't get into cliches. I don't get into too many, I'm not saying about religious, but like spiritual stuff. So I don't tell people, I've gone through a lot of workshops and stuff, and sometimes they'll say, okay, law of attraction, start thinking about something that you want 3 times every day for 21 days and it's gonna happen. Or, and these are real examples, or write down something on a paper and attach it to your water. And we don't do things like that because I'm not saying it might not work. I don't know, honestly, but I make sure that the parents know for a fact that their kids or an adult that's working with us knows that everything they're learning is very practical.
Yes.
And it's not just in theory, it's practice, it's evidence-based. So again, I've done my research. I've worked with coaches, high 7-figure coaches that are big into this, and they're working with me, and
nice.
And the whole program is pretty much written down on paper.
Yes.
But we're not giving that paper out. We're basically just working them day to day. So besides them working with us, all of our kids have different challenges, mental and physical challenges that they have to do almost every day. And then eventually it comes down to parents too. Sometimes we talk to parents, we coach parents too, because once parents are comfortable with us and they build that trust, they're able to share more with us, not only about their kids, but about themselves.
Right.
And we have someone for that works in that field too. So it's just a full-on educational program that I've been working on for years now. So I'm sure your members will notice the videos from last July to now. I got more white in my hair, so we work in everything, so it happens.
I'm so happy that you're young and you're relatable, you're approachable, you may be a little bit tougher in some things, but because you have this very well-rounded background, I think that you're going to be a really great mentor for younger kids. I have 2 little girls. I always wanted a boy, but it's okay. If I had a boy, I have a nephew, and I want young men to just be tasibov, you know what I mean? Like, I just miss that. I miss seeing that in younger boys, and even a little bit older boys.
I see it every day, trust me.
I don't want to get into the dating stuff, but just if we're going to be really honest, just men in general, it has to come from the way they grow up. I want that primitive thing to come out a little bit. I'm not saying be an ape, but like you have to have that that testosterone kind of going through you, and just have that assertiveness and that confidence and the handshake and the eye contact and just being like, oh, I got this.
Yep, like kind of like the alpha male.
Yes,
presence
that alpha male
that we're
presence.
missing.
And I know not everyone can be an alpha male. I get that. But you have to have just some of those qualities in you. And no matter what you do, the topic does go into like male and female roles, and then that might go into, you know, dating or marriage or whatever. Let's put that aside, even though it's always a contributing factor.
Yep.
I just want to see men have that.
It's like masculinity.
The masculinity, and I'm going to get to something I saved for you. The masculinity factor. No one's talking about blending gender roles at home. If you're a man or a woman, you're expected to cook and clean. If you're alone or with someone, whatever it is, you can decide that on your terms with the person you're living with.
Communication.
Right. But just to have that masculinity kind of reinforced in our young men would be really great, because honestly, like, I can't remember the last time. I'll give you this as an example. The last time I was given a seat somewhere was many years ago when I was extremely pregnant and waiting in line at the DMV, and someone gave me a seat. I don't see that chivalry that much anymore. Yeah. I don't see men walking on the side of the road where the cars are going. I don't see men kind of doing these kind of gestures and opening doors and doing courteous things as gentlemen
Something that should be like common sense.
Very common sense. Very common sense. And I'm just like, what's happening? This isn't about any kind of like gender stuff or topic of gay or not gay or anything like that. I want to push that aside. I'm just talking about chivalry, courtesy, respect, those type of things that need to be reinstilled in young people. Yeah,
you know, I 100% agree, and it's you know, and throw in integrity in there, which is one of our core values of the program. You know, at the Institute, where we empower both men and women, both similarly and differently, based off of that person itself. But however, you know, I think masculinity is at an all-time low right now. And I've seen it because I work with a lot of men. I see it daily. I see it at the gym. I see it when I teach at USC. I see it with my friends. I see it with my relatives. And I disagree with that notion. I disagree with toxic masculinity. I think masculinity in its right way, and being an alpha, let's say, at whatever level you are, is the right thing, and it's the smart thing, in my opinion. I think men nowadays are a little bit more sensitive than they used to be back in the day. And
which could be okay, but
it could be an okay thing. Yeah, of course. Like, everything has its limitations, right? Of course. And I'm okay with that. So, you know, even myself, like, I know whenever I need to do certain things, and I know when I need to be more sensitive than others, because I need to be there for certain people and stuff. Right. So, you know, like, we work with men in a very specific way. I want all men to be leaders. Now, they don't have to be leaders of a pack. They don't have to be leaders at work. They don't have to be CEOs. But they need to have certain characteristics that I think have to be ingrained into them when they're kids. So the confidence for me is absolutely one of the most important things. Right. And not just confidence in terms of like tonality and voice and stuff, but appearance, your posture. And those are minor things that I look at and I fix right off the bat.
I work on that on myself as a woman every single day.
It's so important, because the more confident you are, the more successful you're going to be, period. I've always told myself, if there's something that I lack confidence in, I'm going to throw myself in there. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone, throw myself in there so I can feel more comfortable. A lot of people will struggle with interviews, for example, or kids will struggle with being introduced to a new school or to new kids.
It's getting out of your comfort.
Yes, and that's a big deal of it. But for me, I look at that, and I'm very observant. I watch everything. I read emotions very, very well. I took that intuitiveness from my mother's side, 100%. I usually read and judge, or not in a bad way, but character right off the bat. I assess them. And if I can't, we put them through assessments. And again, evidence-based assessments. Some of them, they have to do a little quick tests and stuff. The others is just, I test them. I test their loyalty. I test if they're lying to me or not. I do all these things.
If they'll keep their word.
Yes, and I know ways to do it. But competitiveness is very important for me, for men specifically. confidence. I was getting to competitiveness. And number 2 for me is being very competitive. I honestly, and again, it could be controversial, but I can't find someone being successful if they don't have
that
any
drive to be
competitiveness in them.
competitive.
Yes. And I've realized that lately, people who have ambition are looked at negatively for some reason. And I think that's our society's issues.
Yeah.
Oh, he has ambition. He wants to step on others. He wants to do this. He wants to make more money than the other person.
Yeah, no, I see that, and I'm just like, why are you saying that? I don't have to crush someone in order to get on top or ahead or something like that. I could just be driven. I could just be hungry.
You could be driven. You could be hungry to be successful. You could be, maybe you're someone in your family who are the first to be graduating in university and you want to start your own business. Maybe maybe you have to be driven to be able to take care of your kids or whatever the situation
whatever it is. You don't even know what that person is, what's fueling their drive. Maybe they have to do certain things and they feel like all that pressure is on their shoulder, or they have a chip on their shoulder, whatever it is. Like, I love that ambition in people, and I really believe that when you surround yourself with people like that, it pushes you. Because I put myself in that circle. I try to anyway, and I'm like, wow, this person is doing this. That's so great. You know, it's good to have these amazing people around you. It just kind of puts up the pedestal even higher.
Absolutely. I mean, I even me, I still, again, I educate myself. I put myself around people who are very ultra successful, and I've gone through days where I've been with people who are so like where I want to be in a few years, and I leave with so much motivation for it.
That's why you're here today. We're doing this. It's amazing.
And that's what I want to do, and that's what I was talking about, like competitive person, and it doesn't apply to only sports. It could be anything. You might want to be the best painter, you might be the best carpenter, you might want to be the best athlete, you could be the best businessman or woman, I feel like you need that value, you need that kind of characteristic in you to reach your goal. So we work on that, and then I call it my important C's, and I'll go over one more which I think is overlooked, but I think being charming and charismatic is ultra important too for men. Oh my
God, took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think you have to be charismatic. I think you have to be liked. For too long, people have taken the jerk role and let me be this and let me be that and let me get people to challenge. It has to be genuine though. And again, there's ways you could work with that, but there's also every person has a little bit of charismatic and charm inside of them. Yeah. You want to be able to bring that out sooner than later.
Exactly.
Because it helps you kind of step forward, be more successful. When you're liked by people, you're able to be a better leader, and you're also more confident like that too. So confidence applies to
100%.
Charismatic also. When you're not confident, it's hard to be charismatic.
Absolutely.
So those are things that we work on very subtly, just to go over. And then we do the same thing with women too. Like women, the most competitive person I have in my institute right now is someone I'm going to do a spotlight on soon. She's a girl from Russia. She's 17 years old. She's the most competitive person I've seen, probably next to me.
Wow.
And she's from the Siberian region, and when she was in Russia, she would walk an hour to do judo. So and she has that in her, that kind of fire and build up in her. And I always tell her, like, if I have a daughter in the future, I would want it to be like her, because that's how I see. I think she's going to be very successful. Right now she's in the Air Force special unit, which means she's
I want to meet this girl. I like it. It's exciting.
She's in the Air Force special unit as a 17-year-old, meaning that she's part of the Air Force talent unit for sports. So she doesn't have to deploy, but she'll work for the Air Force at a very high level, and she'll fight for them.
She's 17.
She's 17 years old. Yeah. Wow. When she turns 18 is when she'll, kind of do her. And I'm helping her with it. I'm kind of guiding her along the process. She wants to go to Tokyo when she does to train in the Kodokan Judo there, and
that's incredible.
And, she's an amazing talent, and I work with her daily. And she struggles with. She's so competitive that kind of taps into her emotion. So this is where kind of being a woman kind of helps. So, for me, when I get competitive, I like to think that makes me even better. So sometimes she lets it kind of get to her too much, starts crying, gets a little thing, but which I think is actually a good thing for her if she controls it. So that's something I work with her.
Sometimes the release, and then you learn to control it more. Yes, of course.
And she gets angry, and it's just I let her be. Sometimes you have to let kids do their thing, go through the ups and downs, learn from it. I let her be. I let her still fight like that, and then I'll approach her and I'll help her and I'll do things like that with her. And to be able to get the best out of her. So, and her parents gave me full pledge to work with her and help her in any way.
English?
She speaks English. Okay. Yeah, she speaks Russian and English. She has an accent, but you know, she fought in the world championships as a 17-year-old last year in judo.
Wow.
And she did very well. So she's kids like that. I don't work just with talented kids like that, but kids like that are going to be so successful, not only in sports, but you know, I'm a firm believer that someone who is in sports, as long as they got their head straight,
they will be very successful in every aspect of their life.
100%.
Absolutely.
You know, Warren Buffett said that he liked to hire athletes because athletes know how to set goals and accomplish them. So,
absolutely.
So I think it's a big important key.
You hit that. Yeah, exactly. I've never been into sports, but I so admire people who are so dedicated. Like, you may not like, I don't like hockey. I will never watch hockey, but if I see someone rise up in that field and just kick ass, I would be like, wow, you are amazing because you wanted it so bad and you got there. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody has their forte of what they like to watch, but I found this to be true in fighters, as we mentioned last time in our interview, and athletes. And it's that primal instinct, that drive, that ambition, that confidence, everything. And everything you just mentioned is what I hope that, you know, parents, young or old, are going to want for their kids. And they're going to understand that you have to go through some uncomfortable stuff to get there. 100%. Even as a parent, watching your child go through that uncomfortable situation and backing off and taking some advice from someone. You're not a parent yet, but you have worked with kids so much that you have this knowledge that I would want to know. I'm the type of parent where I'm like, please tell me, like, I'll fix it.
Right.
Because there are times where I feel overwhelmed or whatever it is, and every parent goes through that. But I just hope that parents will be open-minded enough to think, like, you know, I can just kind of let go a little bit and let him have this amazing teacher that is like a guidance figure, exactly, person. Okay, so Arthur John, I want to read something that you posted. First of all, just so people understand.
Yes.
When I talk about stuff on the show, I'm very objective, and I like to hear other things that people talk about that I don't maybe know about, or I need to educate myself on. A lot of times when I have a post on Instagram, you'll see from my sense of humor, even though some stuff is really silly and funny, other stuff, I'm very much conservative about a lot of things. Surprisingly. I am very fair and liberal on some things, but when it comes to the values that we've had instilled in us as Armenians, I really like to hold to that a lot. And one of those things is just kind of knowing your role.
Right.
Knowing your role, not stepping off that you can step out of your box, but what I'm trying to say is just being respectful. And I read something that you had posted, and I was like, wow, this is so good, and I want to share that with our viewers, and we can talk about it. So there's a quote. It says, "There is no such thing as new masculinity. Masculinity has always been the same. It is selfless, it is courageous, it is kind, it is patient, strong, it protects the weak and fights evil, it celebrates truth." And I really love that. Since we're on the topic of all of this, as a woman, I want you to kind of talk about that post that you shared and what that means to you, and how we can kind of reinstill these things. I talked about, I think masculinity is very important to have in our society. I think it's kind of dumbed down a little bit right now, and not for any particular reason. I'm not against, there's been woman empowerment and all that kinds of stuff. And I always tell people the person I love the most in this world is my mom. So I'm not against, when I say we need masculinity, I'm not against lowering, let's say, a woman's role for that. Absolutely not. And that's what people sometimes see wrong. Oh, you want masculinity, toxic masculinity is bad. No, not at all. I was
lucky enough to have such a strong figure raise me as my dad, who taught me the right and wrong. And I've been around men who are masculine and alphas, and or maybe not even alphas in the sense that, but they just know how to be good men. So I've seen how courageous they are. I've seen how that masculinity has led them to have one of the most wonderful families in the world, and just be happy. And I also see the wives and their daughters and their kids, and just how happy they are and the life that they're living. So, and I've trained myself, and I've been raised in that notion too. And I'm a big follower of Bushido and certain process, like disciplinarian kind of teachings, and where every role has, yes, their own kind of specific, like specialties in a sense. And I think masculinity is one of the most important things. I like to think I'm masculine. I've raised like that again. And that's something that we have to teach nowadays, unfortunately, in my opinion. And again, I don't mind being controversial. If I wasn't controversial, that means I'm not doing something that, is right. Honestly, if everyone's okay with what I'm doing,
what you really believe in,
what I believe in,
right? Exactly.
Like if that's what I believe in, and I think a lot of the kids that we're coming in, that's one of the things that we have to focus on a little bit nowadays. I want them to grow to be strong change agents, like difference makers. I'm not seeing that like enthusiasm out of men a lot nowadays. And maybe someone could say, well, you're obviously hanging out with the wrong men. No, I put myself into every bubble, every circle.
You have tons of people coming through you, all like at the gym, or at school, or as a teacher at USC, or as a student when you were a student there.
Yeah.
I mean, we see each other, we see people all the time, and we can take those vibes and feel those energies from them, and you're like,
Yeah, no, I put myself into a lot of different, like I said, different bubbles, different groups, different scenarios. I put myself in a lot of educational programs, and I'm around people like that, you know. When I was at Pepperdine, when I was in my master's school, I didn't make an extra effort to be the alpha or to be the person who like everyone kind of looks up to and like that, but it eventually became like that because of the way I was. But I also realized that it was pretty easy for me to do so because I was around a lot of men who were just like, they were content. They were content with me being the voice. They were content with me just being that. And they're kind of dead fish that kind of goes with the flow, you know? They're just, whatever. And I'm seeing that way too much right now. And that's why I think we have so many issues with our society. I think that's why we have so many issues with our government and how I think that's why a lot of what we're going through right now and we're seeing on the news is because of that, is because too many people are content. Not a lot of they always want to talk, but not actually do something. They've completely disowned from hands-on approach from certain things. Social media is to blame. Along with other things, media and all that kind of stuff. But you know, and again, I wanted to change education, like the way it was. I remember telling people that the last educational intervention was in the 1960s by Montessori. Before that, it was in the 1880s. So a lot of our kids are still being taught off principles and ideologies from the 1960s. I had to reverse that. And part of reversing that now is working on soft skills, leadership skills, hard skills, both men and women, boys and girls, and everyone, to be able to instill certain practices in them and principles and ideologies that are going to be effective now in 2020 and future, not because of all that. So masculinity for me is one of them. It's something that I abide by. It's something that I live with every day. And if you're a boy or a man or an elderly, whatever it is, if you don't have masculinity in you, to me, I just don't think you can reach your potential as a male,
person, or
simple as that.
As a male,
So it's so important for me, and it kind of gets me kind of revved up a little bit because I see the way it is right now, and I'm really gonna make an effort to and I already am, to change that. Now again, I can't completely change them as human beings,
of course,
but I could teach them why it's the right way to be and the principles of it. And again,
and if you teach them and they turn out to be happy, successful, well-rounded, confident people because of your teachings, then they will further that, and they will further that, and so on and so on.
100%.
The next generation.
100%. And I think if personnel and as a collective group are taught well, a lot of these issues that we're dealing with right now won't happen in the future. A lot of NBA players are wearing a lot of stuff on their back of their jerseys, the one that I think hits me the most is educational reform. So educational reform is not just math and sciences.
Absolutely.
It's growing up as a human being. It's learning certain principles, I think, and that's what I focus on. Yeah,
it needs so much help.
It needs
so
it.
Sad.
If you teach our youth now, and they know better, and then youth teaches the next generation, we won't be dealing with a lot of these issues, at least at a larger scale, like we are right now. So
absolutely,
that's why I know I want to have my word spoken out. I'm not shy or scared to speak against something that I don't agree or if I believe in. And if someone says something to me, I will be very politically and very profoundly not deny, but disagree with them, but tell them, explain my reasoning. So,
and
I'm
your
okay
research and your experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I don't teach or do anything that I haven't put myself into.
Right.
Sometimes I work with people who are just in there for exercise, and I tell them I'm a guinea pig of my own learnings and research. If I know it's not going to help me, I won't never teach someone that.
Right.
So I work with the kids the same way.
Awesome. Okay, Arthur, I'm so glad you shared all of that information. It's really great and it's very eye-opening. I hope that my viewers would really just kind of like, wow, like I can't believe he's doing this and this is so cool. No one's ever really thought of this approach, at least not in our circle around here in LA. And I love that. And so let's please share with our viewers where they can get all the information on how to enroll children or adults. And go for it, let them know.
So, the best way to be is to eliteinstitution.com. You could see all the information there. Our schedule is very flexible because we work with different people at different times. There's contact tabs there that could contact me via phone or email, which we could share. But I just want them to know that the program is not just controlled by me and all that kinds of stuff. It's accredited by the state. I have homeschooling accreditation now for kids who are homeschooling and they want to just come be with us for several hours a day.
Okay.
Nice. And I'll have private charter accreditation in October. So I'll be able to run it as a specialty school between 4th, 5th grade all the way to 12th grade.
Nice.
So they could contact us, and the process is very simple. I'll get the final email or phone call. I will interview the parents alone. I will then interview the kids alone. And then I will interview both the kid and the parent alone. And then it is an exclusive institute. So I have group A and B. Kids who are not disciplined at all will go into a program that's kind of like a probationary program where they'll go through 3 months of training. And if they fit the mold, then I'll move them to group A, meaning if they're listening, if they're doing what they're supposed to.
Really, yeah, see problematic children.
And that's new actually, because at first when we first started, we weren't doing the problem childs because it was causing the education for other kids to kind of decline a little bit. It was hindering it because now you're worried about a kid who's just running around, yelling, on the phone, whatever it is.
Completely disobedient.
Yeah, so based off of the kid, completely, and it's okay. We work with kids. A lot of those kids are some of our best kids right now. So we started group A and B. All of them kind of go through a similar training. Now, if a kid comes in and there's certain things, has like certain things that I can't work with them. Let's say for example, a kid comes in who's a little bit heavier set and can't do, let's say, one of our hiking challenges. They have to do it at a certain time.
Yeah, you can accommodate.
We'll accommodate.
Right,
so the parents will meet with me They'll talk with me. They'll meet with other coaches. We build the trust. We build.
Plan.
They know that we're accountable. That's the most important thing, I think,
Right.
for any coaching institute and educational institute. And then we go from there. You know, it's just like tuition. They pay tuition, and the kids will work with us on a daily basis. And if they're not with us, they're still in the facility, which is my dad's facility, and they're working on their own craft on the side. And
Projects that you're giving them.
yes,
Right.
challenges and projects from day one. Day one, they automatically have challenges. And parents also should know that I'm affiliated with something called My Zone, where all of if their physical works and attributes are all monitored and controlled. So not in a bad way. Meaning if I'm working with someone on a physical basis, parents could also log on to the website and see what their kid's doing at the moment.
Oh, I see.
So their heart rates, their blood pressure, everything. So that makes it more comfortable.
Yes, of course.
We have different variations of technology that we're using right now. That's just very, you know,
I like that.
kind of modernized again. So we're using everything, including Zoom, online, everything. We've had our hands on everything. So
Great.
parents are going to be very happy with their kids. That's
Wonderful.
For sure.
Yeah, it looks like you've really dotted every I and crossed every T,
Yeah.
and you made sure that this is exactly what you want to do and know how to execute it. And I love that. I'm very happy for you. I'm very excited for you, not just as a parent, but you know, thinking about children, but just as people and as your friend and as someone who's been following your career for a few years now. This is very exciting for you, and I hope that you can kind of continue this legacy with your dad, and then your brother does his own thing and you do this, and you know, it'll be really, really great because I see so much potential. I wish you the best of luck with everything, and I hope to follow up with you again, maybe a year, maybe 2 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, whenever you want to talk about something incredible going on in your life as it is now, because this is really huge, and I'm super proud of you, and I'm very happy for you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining in for Kandid Koffee Part 2 with Arthur Chivichyan. Till next time.